What's up, YouTube? So this is the completely different type of video from me. I've been doing YouTube for about 2 years. Only really started posting stuff that anybody's really watched for about 18 months. I'm doing okay. You know, we all hang in there as YouTubers, keep putting stuff out and hope that we get views. But I had a bit of a epiphany today because I suddenly realized that there was a topic I could talk about that it means an enormous amount to me, and I think it will mean an enormous amount to a lot of other people, partly people who've had experience of this, and partly people that maybe never knew about this topic, but will hopefully find it interesting. If I can inform people, and if I can also support people who've been through the same thing as me, and if they can get some sort of comfort from it, or you know, there could be some sort of network or support between people, then maybe we can tackle this issue. So and the issue is bullying, quite simply. I'm not talking about school bullying. Funnily enough, I wasn't actually bullied really at school, even though I was very skinny, and I had sticking out teeth, I had little round glasses, I had freckles, but no, I wasn't bullied. Well, you know, occasionally, as with everybody, but never a problem for me. So how ironic that it's only when I was an adult that started. I went to a bullying workshop recently, and so I work in the NHS, and I'm very, very specifically talking about bullying within the NHS, which is the worst bullying I've ever experienced myself and ever observed happening to other people. And I could probably make 50 10-minute videos talking about this, maybe 100. Such is the amount of you know, my experience, the huge amount of times I've witnessed this, and the amount of times it's happened to me. So yeah, so it's good to be doing something different on my channel. Most of the stuff I've done up till now, if you've watched me, which a few people have, is comedy, silly, reactions, that sort of thing. I sort of edit videos and stuff, and that's good. It's fun, I enjoy it, but I think I've found something that I can talk about that's hopefully a little bit more weighty, and will hopefully help some people as well. So there you go. I've set it out for you. This particular video is prompted by things that are going on now for me. I'm not going to talk about that. I want to talk about the past. So first video, I will set out the background to this series, which I think will become a series. As I say, I've got a lot of things to say about it. I'm nearly 50. That's not good, is it? Well, it is good actually. Maturity is good. It's quite an asset, I guess. Even though my breathing's not that great, and I've got no hair left, and I'm starting not to be able to read small print. But hey, you know, trade-off. So I've been in nursing for 30 years. Well, 20 years. I started nursing 30 years ago, at the age of 18, and I did my 3 years of training. I got my qualification in 1992, started in 1989, and became a qualified nurse. How exciting. So I've got plenty of stuff to talk about during my 3 years training. I could probably do a series of videos just on that. Then I got fed up, frankly, of being I was a general nurse on a respiratory ward, working very hard with people who were often dying, who were seriously unwell. It's ironic now that I've got breathing problems, seeing as I was working with people who were on oxygen and nebulizers and whatever, people with lung cancer, people with chronic obstructive airways disease, pretty serious stuff, obviously, and a good amount of HIV patients as well, because in those days, of course, there wasn't a cure or treatment. People just died. I left after about a year and a half, and in about 1993 I went off to be a mental health nurse because I thought that would be easier. How wrong I was. 5 years of that, I did a year's conversion course, and I was pretty much broken, partly mainly, to be honest, by the stress of dealing with patients. Not that it's their fault, but it's a difficult job, thankless job, and unfortunately, well, it's terribly funded. So that's actually a big issue. Obviously, you can help people with mental health problems. Of course you can. But if you're working in an environment where there's not enough staff, resources, input, then it's pretty depressing, frankly. So I did that for 5 years. I got fed up. I left again. Went into acting, did that for 10 years. Not going to talk about that. I was relatively successful. You'll see a few videos about that I've done recently. Then in 2008 or thereabouts, I decided to go back to nursing. I vowed I would never go back to nursing, but I did. Stupidly, in a way, as it turns out. I could have requalified as something else, but it was the path of least resistance, I guess. You, as a qualified nurse, you have a certain earning capacity. If I couldn't have earned as much as I did and do if, obviously I'd gone and worked stacking shelves or whatever, and I didn't really have any other skills. What do? You're a qualified nurse, and you can't do IT. I didn't want to do marketing. Couldn't really work in an office. I had no office experience, no typing skills. So you do the easiest thing in the situation you find yourself, or I did, and went back to nursing. So I've been back in nursing for about 12 years now. So, and I'm now I've managed to get to the level of a ward manager. And the last 12 years has been awful for the most part. Not because of patients, not because of relatives, but because of managers, colleagues often. Interestingly, not because of doctors. You might have some assumption that doctors bully nurses. Hardly ever see that. Hardly ever. The sad fact is that nurses bully other nurses. And it's amazing recently how it struck me just how unhealthy an environment it seems most NHS establishments are. Wards, I don't know, clinics. Obviously I can't completely generalise. I'm sure there are lovely, lovely places to work in the NHS if you're a nurse. But considering 20 years of experience, I can think of about 2 wards for relatively short periods of time where I was pretty happy, had a good boss, and was, treated well. The whole remaining span of that time, there have been really unpleasant people, really unpleasant pressures, and a type of horrible nepotistic unfairness that you probably wouldn't believe if you saw it in a film or something. So there you go. I haven't really spoken about any detail, but I think this is a good setup to a series of videos I can do on this subject. And just to finish by saying, if you have experiences, please comment below. I'll be happy to hear. And I guess as we go through this series, I really hope people watch this, and I really hope other nurses watch it and go, yes, I've been through that. And I think people will, because I've obviously worked with and spoken to, God knows, hundreds probably of other nurses over the last 20 years in various different situations. And almost overwhelmingly, everybody says the same thing, that, my God, why does this go on? Why do people treat each other so badly? And this is the caring profession. That's the irony, the terrible irony of this, is that these people who are frankly psychopathic in their bullying and mistreatment of others, are in a profession where they care for vulnerable adults, children, people with mental health problems. Unbelievable, shocking. So I feel quite emotional because this means a hell of a lot to me. I've suffered so much over the last 20 years of nursing in various wards, and it's not all about me. I mean, I'm just one person, and I would say almost, as I've said, almost everybody I've ever spoken to on this subject will say, oh yeah, so have I. I've seen that. I've experienced that. So there you go, first video done. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe, and I will be now doing a series where I will tell you stories, very specific stories about absolutely terrible things that have happened to me. And I guess I will be talking about terrible things I've seen and terrible things that have happened to other people, and maybe trying to work out why this happens in nursing among people who are meant to care, and we'll see where it takes us. So thanks for watching, and don't nobody go nowhere.